There's a study out of Harvard that found people spend nearly 47% of their waking hours thinking about something other than what they're actually doing. Not planning, not resting, scattered. And the wild part? The researchers found this mental wandering made people less happy, not more productive, not safer, not ahead, just less happy. So why do we keep doing it? Why do we keep adding more? More goals, more commitments, more apps to track our commitments, more podcasts about how to manage our apps. We've built an entire industry around managing the mess we created instead of asking why we made the mess in the first place. That question is what this video is really about. Here's something I want you to sit with. In the 1950s, a Bell Labs engineer named Claude Shannon, the man who essentially invented the theory of information, was known for doing something unusual. While colleagues filled their days with meetings, papers, and academic politics, Shannon would disappear. He'd ride a unicycle through the hallways. He'd juggle in his office. He'd sit alone for hours, thinking about one problem. People thought he was wasting time. He built the mathematical foundation for every digital device you've ever touched. Shannon wasn't lazy. He wasn't unfocused. He was selective, in a way that looked strange to everyone around him. And this is the thing modern productivity culture doesn't want to admit. The people who change things rarely do more. They do less, but differently. Let me ask you something honest. Think about the last time you felt genuinely proud of something you finished. Not just completed, finished. The kind of done that sits heavy and good in your chest. When was that? For a lot of people, that memory is further back than they'd like to admit. Because we live in a culture that rewards starting a new routine, launching a new project, announcing a new goal on January 1st. But finishing, real, deep, one thing finishing, that's become rare. And here's why that matters. Every time you start something and abandon it, your brain registers it as a small failure. Psychologists call this the Zeigarnik effect. Your mind obsessively holds on to unfinished tasks, like browser tabs that never close. The more half-finished things you carry, the louder the mental noise becomes. And the louder the noise, the harder it is to hear what actually matters to you. Stop for a second. I want to be clear about something this video is not saying. This isn't about doing less because you're tired. This isn't a permission slip to be passive. This is about something harder than hustle. It's about choosing. Because choosing one thing means actively letting another thing go. And letting go, in a world that measures worth by output, feels terrifying. Neuroscientist Daniel Levitin explains that every time you switch tasks, your brain burns through glucose, the same fuel it needs for deep thinking. Task switching doesn't feel expensive, but it is. Over the course of a day, the cost compounds silently. That's why you can spend 8 hours working and feel like you've produced nothing real. You weren't lazy. Your brain was simply overcharged and underdirected. Cal Newport, who studies how people produce valuable work in the knowledge economy, found that even brief distractions, a single notification, a 2-minute check-in, can derail a state of focused attention for up to 23 minutes. 23 minutes. Gone. Multiply that across a normal workday, and you start to understand why brilliant people feel stuck. The problem was never effort. The problem was where the effort was pointed. Here's what actually changes things. In 2011, a software developer named Marco Arment left a high-profile job at Tumblr, a company growing explosively, to work on one app. Just one. Instapaper. A simple read-later tool. No team. No pivot strategy. Number 18-month roadmap. One app. Every day. Deeper. Within a few years, it had millions of users and was acquired for a figure he never needed to announce. The narrowness wasn't his limitation. It was his edge. This is what focus actually produces. Not a smaller life, but a cleaner signal in a world drowning in noise. So what does this look like in your actual life? Not in theory. Not in a journal entry you'll forget by Thursday. Right now. If you listed everything you're working on, how many items would there be? 5, 12, 20? Now ask yourself honestly, which one, if you finished it completely, would change everything else? Just one. There's always just one. The research on high performers consistently shows they're not doing more than average people. They're doing the right thing, longer, deeper, and with fewer interruptions than anyone around them. Depth is not a personality trait. It's a practice. And like any practice, it starts with a single, uncomfortable decision to stop spreading yourself thin and commit fully to one direction. But here's the part most people skip, and it's the part that makes or breaks everything. Choosing one thing isn't the hard part. Protecting it is. Author Greg McKeown calls it the disciplined pursuit of less. But he's quick to say it's not about minimalism as an aesthetic. It's about defending your attention the same way you defend your most valuable asset, because it is your most valuable asset. Here's a practical frame. Before you add anything new to your plate, a new goal, a new commitment, a new project, ask one question. Does this move the one thing forward? If the answer isn't immediately yes, it's a no. Not forever, just for now. Warren Buffett, who has had roughly 70 years to observe what separates successful people from the rest, has a method he shared with his pilot. Write down 25 goals. Circle the top 5. The remaining 20? Those aren't your backup list. Those are your avoid at all costs list. Because the things that feel almost important are the most dangerous distractions of all. They're good enough to feel legitimate, but they're not the thing. There's a quiet moment that happens, and if you've ever experienced it, you know exactly what I mean. When you've been working on one thing long enough that it starts to open up, the surface level gives way to something underneath. You see connections you couldn't have seen at the start. You solve problems that would have stopped you cold on day one. That feeling isn't magic. It's depth. It's what happens when you stop visiting a place and start living there. Most people never feel it. Not because they're not capable, but because they leave before it arrives. The modern world is designed to pull you away at exactly that moment. A new trend, a new fear, a new opportunity that needs your attention right now. Learning to stay, to keep going when the novelty wears off and the results haven't arrived yet. That is the actual skill. Not productivity, not hustle, not optimization. Staying. So here's what I want to leave you with. You don't need a new system. You don't need another framework or a better morning routine. You probably need to finish something you already started. Pick it. Guard it. Go deeper than you've gone before. And if this gave you even one clear thought, drop it in the comments. What's the one thing you're going to stop splitting your attention away from? Someone watching this after you needs to read your answer.